Dr. Hodgie the Electric Smoji,
Yeah.
and John the Brain Sheeran. So, boys, how are you feeling after, again, the Bengals played a riveting game that came down to the wire?
Yeah.
Because really, I mean, the defense is taking shape. The defense was great. And in this introduction, if you will, I want to recap the Bengals and Bears. And I think, the Bears, look, people were counting them out. They said they didn't have a chance. And their defense came back to life. They have a lot of great players. Right. And they take pride in their play. And we held them to 83 passing yards, 200 overall yards, right, John? I mean, very stout. It was a defensive game. We came up a little short. So
it's ironic to me, isn't it? Because the best quarterback on the field Sunday was Andy Dalton. And Bengals fans were scared of Justin Fields coming in for Andy Dalton because we all assumed that he was a better quarterback already. And Justin Fields single-handedly kept the Bengals in the game because as a quarterback, he was very inadequate. And then Justin Fields made 2 Herculean efforts on 2 separate occasions that kept the Bears alive and essentially won. It's the beauty of the NFL. Just when you think you know something, you know nothing.
Yeah, it is. But we as Bengals fans and having gone through the Dalton stage, we know that Dalton is really old reliable. I mean, you can count on him for a really great first drive, and you can count on him for a really, for moments of competence, really. He's a competent player. I don't know if the game would have gotten that much difference if Andy would have stayed in the whole time. I feel like our defense was doing a lot of they really figured things out quickly. And they really, I think the defensive performance on Sunday against the Bears really deserves recognition as being quite good. Well, you guys don't agree, I don't.
No, I mean, I guess really where my mind is right now is that Thursday night game that is coming up. And it's going to be a big game. We're going to have the showdown with Trevor Lawrence. And he's kind of, look, he looked like the rookie. And we forget that Joe Burrow is kind of still in his rookie season. And this was the first time he looked like a rookie ever, I would say. Wouldn't you agree, John? I mean, his first game as a rookie last year against the Chargers, he came back in that fourth quarter, looked so sharp. So I think a lot of, let's go to Bengals bickering.
Well, no. Let's stick with that for a second. Let me ask you guys this. To what extent do you think that the less mobile Joe Burrow is something he's going to learn how to be?
Yeah, it's tough. Because that's a dimension that was helpful for them last year in creating big plays. And exactly. I don't know if it's because they want him to stay in the pocket or if he's not comfortable getting outside. Like he only did it once or twice. And one of them was that savvy little create unnecessary roughness when he got kind of hit on the sideline there. Like that was the only time he was scrambling outside.
Right.
They're not really letting him do that right now. And that is a problem.
I don't know if he can do that.
Yeah, John, that's the thing is I don't see Burrow's movements as fluid as they were before. That is my take. He's not as flowing. And those.
But he's smart enough. He's smart enough that he can learn how to be what like a Tom Brady is, which is a plant your feet and throw kind of guy.
Let us go to Bengals bickering because there is a lot here. And what happened is John pointed out in a video where he came from I forgot it's the place where you go. What do you do in a gym, John? By the way, he was in a gym.
You have smoothies. You get massages.
I mainly ponder about existential crises. And things of that nature.
So he came out of the gym with a lot of clarity, and he made a good point. He said, "Look, only thing Zach Taylor has going for him, because I've said on the show, Zach Taylor hasn't shown that he's a creative play caller at all." No. And so what does he have going for him? It's not the play calling, which is what he was brought in for. Which, by the way, John, let me ask you something. When he was hired, he was the QB coach and passing game coordinator. Sean McVay was calling the plays. They didn't have.
He was never the passing game coordinator.
Oh, that's right. That is the Kansas City.
Shane Waldron. Yeah.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is,
he's a QB coach like me. I was
QB coach, and so he never called plays. It was just assumed that he was the closest thing to the guy who called the plays, and that he would know how to call plays. Right.
He did call plays before, but it just wasn't with the Rams.
With the Dadio. So the thing is, it's funny because it's like $1 billion, $2 billion business, and they hired someone who they don't even know if he can do the job, which is, well, it's not funny. But
what was your original point? This is getting a little bit into an area that we don't need to go
so
to.
what happened was, so John says he has a player's coach and players like him. Well, guess what? This week, Joe Burrow called him out. He said, I need to be able to throw the ball deep earlier. Jamar Chase agreed with him and said, we need to do that. And then Brian Callahan comes along and he says, oh, yeah, it was a bad game. But what about those interceptions, huh? That's the exact quote. And if you analyze that, what do you get? You get a team in disarray.
No, I beg to differ, Dadio. I beg to differ that that's what's going on. I think there is a little bit of, everybody, is trying to say what the heart of the problem is. That doesn't mean that they're bickering, and it doesn't mean that they're passing blame. A quarterback is responsible for his interceptions. Now, I actually think that Joe Burrow's interceptions were not that bad. One of them was a hot potato situation. You get that in the NFL. And I mean, he was trying things, and it was poorly timed, and it got in the way of a comeback. I agree with that. But what I don't agree with is that somehow Callahan saying that was the problem is him trying to pin it on Joe Burrow. I don't think Callahan was trying to do that. I think Callahan was trying to say, look, that's what messed up our momentum. Just the same way that Zach said, we needed the defense to make a few more plays. He's not saying this is the defense fault. Well, he's saying that look, when defense makes plays that can change the momentum. It's about momentum. It's about mojo.
Well, look, I want to bring in an objective voice, a man who hosts the Bleav in Steelers podcast. And the thing about hosting the Bleav podcast is the more believers you have, the more people listen. That is why at this point,
because I'm already in one cult, I can't be in two.
We have 4 believers. The Steelers, meanwhile, because of the great history and tradition they have far, far more. I don't know how many, but it's probably more than 4. With that, I want to bring in the great Markbergen. Mark, welcome to the show.
Welcome, Markbergen, to the show.
So we're talking week
Dadio,
3.
Dr. Hodgie, and John, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. We love you. We love having you here.
John, before we get too far into this, what's the mascot you have in the background?
Is there a mascot? It's just my roommate. His name is Randall. He doesn't pay rent, but he just chills out. He just watches the games with me. He helps breaks things down and provides some nice company for me.
Mark, he symbolizes the lost hopes of all Cincinnati Bengals fans, the way we have withered away since 1988. That's all.
You've got all 4 teams. You've got all 4 teams in the division that are at 1-1 right now. So there's still hope for each of the 4 teams, just considering all of them are at a 500 record through 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, well, we're in an odd position that the Steelers actually look like the worst in the bunch. Let us talk about week 3 if we can put up the title. And look, Mark. Okay, I watched some of the Steelers highlights. Okay, I didn't watch all of the highlights. Probably like
I might call them lowlights.
Well, you know what I saw was Ben Roethlisberger. You were on the show last year. You said he might play 5 or 10 years, and I don't know if you were going to adjust that, because I really think Mason Rudolph is being slept on. I would like to see him get some action.
Who is sleeping on that man?
The whole country.
Free him.
Yeah, but what I was saying
is Ben sleeping on top of him. Won't let him get up.
That would be very detrimental to his play. But Mark, what I want to ask you is, what do you see when you watch Ben Roethlisberger? Because what I see is a man who still wants to play that aggressive style, the backyard school type of play. He still has his passes still have some zip, but he doesn't have the mobility, if you will, that he used to work around a very poor pass protection. What do you think?
Yes, it's a young offensive line. So you've got 2 rookies, the left tackle and Dan Moore Jr. starting at left tackle, and at the center position, Kendrick Green, also a rookie. Also, the left guard, Kevin Dotson's only in his 2nd year. So this is the reason why they bring in Matt Canada to serve as the offensive coordinator this season. Compared to a year ago, you saw Randy Fichtner's offense being very predictable. But at least through 2 weeks of the season thus far, Ben is getting the ball out of his hands faster than any quarterback in the league. If you look at the next gen stats right now, about 2.31 or 2.41 seconds per pass attempt for Big Ben. And so the Steelers' offense became very, very predictable a season ago, considering the fact that the short passing game became an extension of the running game because the Steelers struggled to run the football, dead last in the NFL in the 2020 season. And at least through the first 2 weeks of the season, 250 rushing yards through the first 2 weeks in the 2020 season, only 114 through the first 2 weeks of the 2021 season. So that's something that the Steelers want to improve upon with their first round draft pick of running back Najee Harris out of Alabama, but it just hasn't paid dividends thus far this season.
Yeah, well, speaking of not paying dividends, there is exciting news. Our pod, is partnering with playactionpools.com this season to bring some interactive fun to the sport we love most. You'll be able to get in on the action with our playactionpools.com football pick M challenge, which is open to everyone. Here's how it works. Sign up for a contest, Bleav football pick M at playactionpools.com, and then get your picks in each week. We're going to select the 10 highest produce games of the week between NFL and college football. Whoever gets the most picks correct each week win a pair of electric shoes and sunglasses.
Not electric shoes.
Again, go to playactionpools.com and sign up for the Bleav, BLEAV football pick M. And if you plan on hosting your own football contests, go to playactionpools.com today. They've got Survivor, Pick'em, as well as a cool sportsbook style concept called Build Your Bankroll. Playactionpools.com, your new home for office sports pools. Woo! Mark.
We just made 12 cents, Mark. 12 cents.
The literacy is getting a little bit better.
Well, we are counting on all four of our listeners to.
You talk about the Steelers, you got to talk about the injuries. You talk about the Steelers, you got to talk about the groins. How many groins have been pulled?
Low wattage. So, look, Mark, first of all, can you tell us about the nature of a groin injury and why so many Steelers have it? Are they giving it to each other? Are they passing it on to each other? What is a groin? Why are they hurting their groins? Is it on purpose? I read a very reputable journal discussed how TJ Watt pulled out his groin dancing after a sack. And this seems to have been confirmed by the Surgeon General. So it seems that the Steelers are doing some very shady things. They have four groins, right? You have TJ, you have Joe Hayden.
Highsmith.
What's that?
Alex Highsmith.
Oh, Alex Highsmith and Devin Bush. Four groins you will be missing on Sunday when you face the Bengals.
And then you got Sir Spitalat.
Yeah. So what is going on? What is going on with the Steelers, and who's going to play, who's not going to play, who's going to have a groin? Yeah.
The big question you have to ask yourself after the loss to the Raiders in week 2 with TJ Watt is this: could that groin injury impact him beyond week 2? So it's not just missed time, but does it impact his ability to rush the passer and to make plays in the backfield? He led the league in sacks with 15 a year ago, also led the league in tackles for loss. Now, TJ Watt has only missed 2 games thus far in his 5-year NFL career. And that's part of the reason why the Steelers gave him a massive contract extension, $112 million with $80 million guaranteed. So that's part of the reason is because the best ability is availability, and he has been as durable as any player. And the game he missed last season was to rest up and get ready for the playoffs. So he could have played in the final week of the 2020 season, but he sat out and rested, as well a lot of the Steelers players did. Now, you mentioned the other groin injuries. Joe Hayden and Devin Bush, they did not play against the Raiders. And then you've got to ask yourself, what does that mean? Alex Highsmith, someone who's in that outside linebacker rotation along with Watt, and then the big free agent signing in Melvin Ingram. And so the Steelers do have some depth at the outside linebacker position if either Highsmith or Watt aren't able to play, just because you bring in Melvin Ingram, who's been a Pro Bowler before this season as a member of the Chargers. But really, don't sleep on this injury either. Tyson Alualu out for the season with an ankle fracture. He had surgery on Monday as well. So already only through 2 weeks of the season, the Steelers have some injuries to deal with. And you mentioned Big Ben earlier. He showed up in the injury report as well with a left pec injury. I'd expect him to play. But you mentioned Mason Rudolph wanting to see what he can do. My counter to this would be that. Hang on, let me counter this really quickly.
Please.
If Mason answer for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
Why would we know who Duck Hodges is, who's no longer even playing in the NFL? He's playing in some other football league right now.
Well,
so
look,
if Mason Rudolph were the answer and Big Ben,
he is the answer.
We would not know who Duck Hodges is.
Hold on. No, Mason Rudolph is the answer for the Bengals. I wasn't talking about the Steelers.
Yeah.
I was not talking about the Steelers. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. First of all.
Yeah. The question is, how do we get you guys to lose? That's the question.
Second
answer,
of all,
Mason Rudolph.
Second of all, how is Big Ben? Can we please go to Big Ben? Let's switch to the Big Ben. How is he going to play when he has torn his pec, which is known as the groin of the chest?
Yeah.
All of you know as well as anybody that without a groin. No, you're laughing. You are laughing on a very serious show, Mark. And I'm sorry, but that is disrespectful.
Yeah,
we are talking
this is football, Mark. No jokes.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to say it, but what did I expect from the Steelers? Look,
hey, are they getting Taco Charlton or what?
Is that a snack that they get for Big Ben?
No. The Steelers tried out. They brought Taco Charlton because of the injury, the TJ Watt injury. They brought him.
See, this is what happens when you take Hodgie off the screen. He has time to Google things, and so he Googled the first thing that comes up. He found the name.
It's
Taco
breaking.
Charlton. Is that from this year? Even we don't know. Look, okay,
it's from today.
So,
it's actually
Mark. I want to talk about Big Ben, and in addition to the offensive line, like. He has a pretty good receiving core.
Yeah.
But is he going to? I don't know. I mean, you really think he's going to play
Big
beyond
Ben?
this?
Listen. You watched the Steelers play last year. Big Ben is not the Big Ben of 5 years ago. The game isn't about Big Ben. Big Ben is playing a role, and the Steelers are good enough to compensate for Big Ben being 70% of what he used to be. And that's fine. I think they can live with that because Big Ben was so great that 70% Big Ben is enough for the Steelers. That's the reality.
70% Big Ben is still...
He's medium Ben.
170% of the BMI index, which is
right.
Something to consider.
Yeah. It's enough cholesterol to power, like a small...
Is Ben actually hurt? Like, honestly, is he actually hurt?
His feelings.
Here's what you got to hope for as a Steelers fan. Potentially, you get Zach Banner back in week 4 against Green Bay. He will not play this upcoming week against the Bengals. So you take Chuks Okorafor out of the lineup. You get Banner back as a starter along the offensive line. And then this is something I would like to see the Steelers do, considering they spent a first-round pick on Najee Harris. The last time the Steelers ran the ball more than they passed the ball in a single game, you got to go all the way back to week 6 of last season, October the 8th, 2020, when the Steelers absolutely walloped the Cleveland Browns 38-7. That was the last time the Steelers ran the football more in a single football game than they passed it. Big Ben's in year 18 right now, and you're still asking him to pass at the volume that you are. When there are incompletions and when defenses can sit because they know it's going to be a short passing game, it becomes very...
No, Mark, my question is he actually hurt? Because he's always on the injury report.
Wonder why is Mark pretending his internet is out? Is that what's going on? Is he avoiding questions?
So.
That's the classic. That's the classic Wi-Fi trick. I've pulled that trick.
Yeah, but he's really good at it. What the Big Ben is the big can't throw 50 times. But I would say this. No, Mark, look, here's the thing about Big Ben. Okay, every time he plays us, they say he's injured, but he's not really injured. That's what John's saying. And it seems like
he wasn't on the injury report after the game on Sunday. It's something that came out today. So the extent of it, is he going to practice? We'll have to see the remainder of the week. It's only Tuesday.
It doesn't matter if he practices. He's going to walk onto the field and he's going to play. And if he doesn't play well, it's going to be because of the pack.
He'll hobble onto the field. That man is so big that he might have an injured person inside of him and he'll be fine.
Okay, I'm going to look. You guys are ganging up on Mark. He is our guest, so I'm going to be nicer. Look, I'm going to say this, Mark. I see your points, and I think I get it, and I agree. Big Ben needs to carry the ball more. If the Steelers are going to win, he can't carry the load by passing so much because when the Steelers run, they win. And I think that's good. I say get him going early. I say not like quarterback sneaks. Get him out wide. See what he can do. See what he does in the space. I like that idea. maybe put Mason Rudolph under center and he throws to Big Ben. That is another option. I'm giving the secrets away. You can use them or not. The Steelers are probably listening to the show, trying to find scouting ideas. Let us move on because look.
And notice how he evaded the Taco Charlton question.
You're talking about a player who's on the practice squad. Like it's the second, first.
Oh, so they did bring him in.
That's what they are saying.
He's on the practice. He's on the practice squad with Carl Joseph, two first-round picks. But I mean, we're not even talking about a player who's on the active roster. We're talking about a player who's probably not going to play on Sunday.
We're talking about practice.
What are we talking about here?
Yeah, what are they practicing? That's the question.
Well, he can't tell us that. Mark knows, but he can't tell us. I feel like Mark is never going to come back on our show, guys. So please ask some more serious questions. He doesn't like this dynamic. So let us move on to a more objective and analytical topic. Please, Courtney, the next topic. Hate is all you need. Look, the Steelers and the Bengals don't have a lot going for them this year. Okay, but we are used to them at least, getting in a lot of fights, right? Getting a lot of flags.
Pulling it.
But now,
scratching.
Yeah. And the question is rivalry dead? Because we don't have Vontaze Perfect. We don't have, who is the guy that always tackled with his head? The linebacker for the Steelers.
Oh, Shazier.
Yeah, we don't have the Shazier.
No, like Mitchell.
Yeah. We don't have Mike Mitchell.
I mean, I hope it's dead, right? I mean, that was an ugly rivalry. And I think it made the games unnecessary.
Yeah, but then when we lost, we looked less worse. It was like, you see the refs.
Oh, so you're saying, I see. Yeah, you're saying now that it's dead, we're winning.
Yeah.
I'm
saying now when we lose, but we play clean, both sides, we look worse than before. Because it's like, you know what I mean? Nobody's bloody or muddy at the end. Yeah.
Well, use some mud.
Yeah. So I think we lost Mark. Okay. Looks like we lost Mark. He probably is never going to be on the show again.
Oh, I don't think we lost him.
I think he's coming back. But
I think he knew where he was going.
Look, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Let's acknowledge something that's, I know, obvious, but it has to be said. Okay. The Bengals-Steelers game is not like any other game of the year. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Last year was a travesty. It was a horrible season, right? And yet I feel a bit chipper about last year when I remember that game where Ryan Finley smiling on the ground and beating the Steelers.
Yeah.
Beating the Steelers is its own thing, separate from the rest of the season.
That's true. But, I would say that Ryan Finley game, thank you. Mark came back. Thank you. Thank you to the Bleav Podcast Network for soothing things over for us. Because, sorry, Mark. I'm sorry. I apologize on behalf of my co-hosts who are not professional at all. But, yeah, so basically, I think the Ryan Finley game was as much of an anomaly as you will ever see. You know about the Ryan Finley game, right, Mark? I mean, the Steelers, they started 11-0. And then I think they went like 0-11 the rest of the season. I don't know how you do it, but that's what they did. And one of those games was against the Bengals when they were on the decline. And the team was kind of like, derailed. And the Bengals, it was such a strange game. So you have this guy, Ryan Finley, who can't throw beyond 3.5 yards, right? Which, I mean, it's a fair distance. That's about how far I can throw. But a lot of people say it's not good enough. And he's not known for being a running quarterback. Mm. And then he was doing all these weird runs again. It was just such a freak game.
It was the spirit of the night had gotten into him. Has that ever happened to you, Mark? Has the spirit of the night ever gotten into you?
Can you answer the question, Mark? Yeah. We can't hear you. I really want to know the answer to this, Mark.
Mark.
Now. Yeah. Has the spirit of the night, could you please gotten into the spirit of the night?
I Bleav you're talking about when the Steelers lost to the Bengals last season when they dropped 5 of their last 6 games. Yeah.
It's so sweet when you say it.
Yeah. So the Steelers lost. I forgot. Yeah. Could you go on? They lost on Monday night badly. Please go ahead.
He's relishing it, Mark.
No.
You could describe it.
But
what were they wearing?
Here's the thing.
What were they wearing when they lost?
What did you have for dinner? Do you remember what you had for dinner?
What was the weather like when they lost, Mark? Can you describe the weather? We're relishing it.
Do you
You mentioned how both teams aren't playing for anything this year earlier.
Yeah.
Steelers are trying to repeat as division champions. I know people seem to forget about that because the Ravens and the Browns also got into the playoffs this season ago. But it sounds like the Bengals really valued being the Steelers last season when Steelers were just trying to right the ship while they were getting ready for the playoffs. Didn't do that very successfully, and the wheels fell off last season.
Yeah. Well, I would say this. The Bengals are trying to repeat as division champions because technically the word repeat doesn't have to be consecutive. And the Bengals have won the division before. So we are equally trying
70s,
to repeat.
80s.
We are also trying to get back to the Super Bowl. We were just there 30-something years ago.
Yeah.
Look, Mark, let me ask you about the final topic, if that is okay. Courtney, promotion. Mark, Patreon.com. You've heard of Patreon.com. There's a lot of worthwhile causes. But what about the underdog? What about the Cincinnati Bengals of the podcasting world? I'm talking about the #1 Bengals podcast. What about the hairy creatures who society has turned its back on?
What about the kids with stinky feet? What about the kids?
That is us. That is us. And that is our podcast. And, we have two...
All we have are a few flowers in our pockets in the dream.
Well, no, look, we have two new patrons. And Mark, just in case you don't know, those are robots who make automatic payments. Patrons. We have two new ones. Yeah. One of them is named Dead Disney. So I want to give a shout out to
Friends.
Robo Friends. Dead Disney, thank you for becoming a patron. And the other one is Alice Pieritz, who just became a patron as well. That brings us up to 7. And now you're saying, why should I pay these guys money? Right? I don't want to ever hear them speak again. But let me ask you something. Would you rather hear us speak, if you had to, in distorted bad microphones or with crystal clear sound, where it captures all the nuances and subtleties of our delicious voices? Obviously, the latter, Mark.
Yeah.
We are trying to raise money to get good microphones and studio equipment. And we are like, what? A third of the way there. So if you become a patron, look, guys, I'm going to do it. I have a ticket to the Thursday night game.
Oh my gosh.
No.
Next week. Yeah. And I bought the ticket. Okay. And then I didn't know you have to pay extra for parking, all that. I can't go to the game, basically. I want to give it away. Okay. So if we get 9 new patrons in support of our quarterback, who is being attacked from all sides, opposing teams, offensive coordinators, everybody. If we can get 9 new patrons in the Joe Burrow tier, which is $9, by next Tuesday. John, what is next Tuesday? It's probably still September something.
September 28th.
If we get, so you look at these tiers, you can see the Jamar Chase tier for $1, the Von Bell $5, Joe Burrow $9.
Wow.
If we get 9 new Joe Burrow patrons by September 28th, I would give my ticket away to one of the Joe Burrow patrons. So go to patreon.com.
Who will be randomly chosen, by the way. Randomly chosen at random.
Yeah. And Mark, that's what I wanted to share with you.
You're not going to ask Mark to be a patron, are you?
I think that...
I feel like that would be awkward, Mark, but I don't know. That's just...
Well, let me put it to you like this. If I don't go to the game, I will... Well, we're not playing the Steelers, but I will be representing the Bengals and helping them win, which will hurt the Steelers in the division. So you don't want me to go to the game, Mark. That is your inspiration. Okay. Well, Mark, everybody look.
Maybe Mark has something to say.
Oh, please. About promotion.
Promote your stuff.
Well, I was going to promote his stuff. So Mark is on the Bleav in Steelers podcast, which is a lot like our podcast. It is very similar formats. You have a former NFL player, Ike Taylor. We have a former QB coach, Dr. Hodgie Hodgie.
Yeah.
So similar range of insights and kind of, insider takes. Ike Taylor obviously is a very fun, loving guy, and he was. I was
a QB coach for an online high school. Right.
It was actually a Tecmo Bowl championship, and I don't know how he could just coach the QBs, but. And so go and leave a 5-star review for the Bleav in the Steelers podcast. It's on the Bleav podcast network, and subscribe And don't give Mark a hard time, guys, please. Even look, you have to listen to it because of, you want to know your enemy. You want to know the Steelers. These guys will give you you heard Mark today. He knows all the groins. He's on top of every groin.
Wait. I feel like the arc of the show today is that, Mark, we began as enemies, but we became friends. Don't you feel that way? I feel a vibe.
Mark, hold on. Mark, do you feel like
the vibe between
friends?
You and me, like we're friends? Okay. I guess not.
We might have a different conversation after Sunday, so I can't. I can't say one way or another. Man,
I have never been so hurt.
Wow. So,
but you are part of the Bleav family, so we got to keep it real.
Technically, not friends, but we're family.
We will see each other at Thanksgiving, and no more than that.
Vegan. I only eat vegan.
Yeah. Mark. Okay. No, listen. Go subscribe to Mark's podcast and subscribe to our podcast, the Bleav in Bengals podcast, and leave a 5-star review. Go to our YouTube channel, DH Sports, number one Bengals podcast. Yeah. And that is all we have for Markbergen and then Hodgie and John Sheeran. I'm Dadio. We'll see you next time. So long, sweetie pies.